So Trump yesterday made a major health announcement, or rather a series of announcements, and it has caused an absolute firestorm among those specifically on the left, but just in general, people are questioning a lot of things. So let's talk about what did he actually say, and also how this ties to the overall white hat movement, as well as just some personal thoughts, as well as just other things that you need to know as a believer, specifically if you're watching this as a Christian. So let's talk about some of these things. I don't want to show you like clips of the whole thing. If you want to watch it, you can do it, but I want to summarize for you some of the things that he actually said. So again, Trump, RFK Jr., and a few others took turns talking and making commentary about some of these things. So first off, he talked about autism and specifically its dramatic increase from like 1 in 20,000 decades ago to like 1 in 31 today, with an even higher rate in boys for some reason. He called it a horrible crisis, something artificial is driving the increase, and emphasized urgency to act. So in my opinion, there is something going on. Like, how is it that it is increasing? Now people can say, oh, it's about testing this and that, but think about the actual like expression of this. You didn't see 1 in 20, 30 or whatever it was expressing an actual, and again there's spectrums, forms of autism in this modern day and age. So something is actually going on. And specifically acetaminophen, which is often over-the-counter Tylenol, the FDA will notify doctors that acetaminophen used during pregnancy specifically may be linked to higher risk of autism or ADHD. And so they were careful in sort of the language in terms of like being an absolute this and that, but a lot of studies or a lot of things, the research or however they've backed this from a data perspective, they came with this argument and saying this is what we want to show. So pregnant women are advised, he says, to avoid it unless absolutely necessary for high fevers and using the lowest effective dose for the shortest time. And he repeatedly urged pregnant women and parents not to use Tylenol unless unavoidable. And so he moved on to vaccine recommendations. He's talked about specifically that it's crazy that all of these kids are being injected like a horse. He gave that example with all these different vaccines in a short amount of time. So he suggested spacing them out from childhood over multiple doctor visits. And he talked about MMRs, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. And he also mentioned that hepatitis B, which is sexually transmitted, shouldn't really be taken until age 12, and claimed that many groups, specifically the example in the Amish, have low autism rates because of their limited vaccine and medicine use. And so he was tying, or suggesting rather, again, I'm trying to be careful with my words too, like how the vaccines, if you take it and then if you take Tylenol, there might be some synergy there that effectively amplifies the risk for autism to take place, especially those that take it from an early age, specifically mothers. So they moved on to talking about a new FDA like label and a possible new treatment. I don't know how to pronounce it, but lusovorin, I could have looked it up, but a prescription vitamin used in some cancer treatments to allow its use for certain autistic children with folate deficiency. So citing NIH studies showing some children improved verbal communication with this therapy, and then how Medicaid chip will cover some of this. He also talked about federal grants, specifically announcing $50 million, Autism Data Science Initiative funding 13 new research projects, and then just some more statements from other officials, RFK specifically committing to investigating possible causes of autism, including toxic exposures, vaccines, and pledged transparency. I think they mentioned that mercury and one other thing was already being removed or has been removed. So a lot of progress in this area. And they mentioned talking to NIH and FDA leaders with their studies, other doctors, many people, and linking in pregnancy to neurological development disorders and the potential for this therapy to help in some way. And so there was a couple of testimonials, two parents, two mothers talking about this, and how one, I remember her talking about how they're on the very other spectrum. Another one was on the other spectrum, and the difficulty in that. So Trump continually at the end also just reiterated, do not, take it if at all possible. There's no like downside, he mentioned, like to not take it. Like you're not going to like die by not taking Tylenol during pregnancy. And he was continually reaffirming that autism rates, as well as just other things, is his top priority. And he said, quote, more important than the economy. Now he, overemphasizes a lot of things, but I believe that health and the health of America has been and will be a top priority for Trump. And so he's very much continuing to push that affirmation to the public. Now, my thoughts and opinions are, I'm going to like soften it as much as possible. To me, and this is my personal like lifestyle choice, is that I minimize anything that I don't need, right? So even during COVID, and you guys know me, if you have following me, I haven't taken the vaccine. I didn't want to take the vaccine. I would rather have just locked myself in my room if people were concerned. Didn't want to take anything. I didn't want to inject myself with anything. I'm not anti-vaccine per se in the sense that, oh, all of them are bad or ineffective. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if I don't need to take something like Tylenol, I don't remember the last time I took any over-the-counter medicine to help me with like headaches or pain or any of that stuff. I haven't taken any of that in probably like since I was a kid. I don't even remember. And so in general, with health, whether it's medicine or whether it's with certain types of food, I haven't drank soda in college for a 40-day like Lent season like fast. I cut out coffee and I cut off soda, and I only drank water. For the rest of my life after that, until now, I have not drinking coffee, and I probably accidentally taken a sip, soda or something, but I don't regularly drink that stuff, right? And so I'm not saying it's bad in the sense that, if you drink coffee, you should quit. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I want to be as minimalistic as possible, not relying on some of these things. And I don't want to sit here and pretend like I'm some like saint, like I have a perfect, macros, like protein, carb, like fat ratio, like diet, and I, do all this like perfect robotic lifestyle. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's certain things when I look at it and as a life choice, I don't want to take it. And so that's just me right now. And the issue that I see with this, especially with some of the backlash, is people are attacking him. There's a lot of quote unquote like experts, like the logical fallacy of appeal to authority. People saying, "Oh, I'm a doctor and I know this is good, this is well." And people are saying all these big guys, BBC, Trump makes unproven link between autism and Tylenol. New York Times, Trump issues warning based on unproven link. CNN says Trump links autism to acetaminophen use during pregnancy, despite decades of evidence it's safe. And people from all across the internet mocking and just saying, even this lady that went viral, downing a bunch of Tylenol that during her pregnancy, her saying, "Here's me, a pregnant woman taking Tylenol because I believe in science," and got someone who has no medical background. And there's a lot of this going around. And something you have to understand about just a lot of people that are attacking the person because they don't like them and because what they're saying, if you just question and just like I'm not saying everything is true or not. You have to like discern in the spirit and ask the Lord whether you should take something or not, whether you should consume something or not, to each their own and your relationship with the Lord. But when you immediately come out and mock something and you go against what might be contrary to all of the quote unquote science from the past several years, and even if you sit there and think, it's in some sense common sense to think if you take a bunch of something, yes, in excess, anything is bad. But even if you take like 2, 3, 4 pills, like in your mind, you might have a temporary like relief of something. But don't you think there might be something like a side effect? Don't you think that it might be worse off? Like between two choices, if you can stomach it, meaning that psychologically you can just say, you know what, even if I feel uncomfortable right now, it might be better than me just downing a bunch of this medicine just to feel good about something, let alone pain relief and just all of that. Like I'm not saying there's no effect in that, but if you're weighing pros and cons and you're thinking that autism, if you're thinking ADHD and all these things are in effect potentially, then why take the risk? It's like, I think there is something about raw fish. If you're pregnant and you're eating raw fish, it's going to cause a certain risk to something. And it's widely accepted. Doctors say it. Pregnant people, they receive it and say, you know what, I'm just not going to take raw fish. It just sounds like it might be crazy. But if you think about the same with Tylenol, acetaminophen, or anything else that comes out, especially in this one area, why is it that it's that crazy? So again, guys, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not claiming like I know everything. What I'm saying is that we're in a season, especially going into the end times, where people are going to tell you all kinds of stuff, right? We're living in an information AI or misinformation and AI age, and just like with COVID, the vaccines and everything, they're going to come at you. They're going to say, "Hey, this is the cure to everything. This is what you've got to do, what you've got to take," and you have to really exercise discernment by going trying to do your research. Don't just consume. We're past just thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to take verbatim what CNN and or even Fox or whoever, BBC, what they say and just like consume, right? You don't go to the same, a lot of us, we don't go to the same doctor anymore. We chat GPT it, we Google it. We may even go down a rabbit hole of forums and seeing what anecdotal or grassroots like cases there are from actual people that have claimed on, I don't know, Reddit or from their posts on social media, what they've done, and try to look at comments and just really exercise discernment and in going into that versus saying, you know what, I'm just going to listen to my doctor because that's what they said and that's what goes. And again, I'm not saying doctors are all false. I'm saying that in this day and age, we take a step back and we say holistically, what is it that I want to do in terms of discerning my next choice, especially in the health department? Because people have said the food pyramid, this is great for you. And now look at what's coming out in terms of breaking that paradigm that's been so traditional for decades, right? So all of this is a shift, it's a rift, and it's a shakeup of what I believe is this next phase of cures, of coming out and saying, you know what, there's more than what they've been telling you and how they've entrapped you into certain ways of life. And so that reminds me of what Dan Scavino actually posted, and people were decoding this the day of, and this is again Korea time, so it's supposed to be September 22nd, and it's supposed to be 7:35 p.m. And post 7:35 is how long will we have to wait for the cures of cancer and other sicknesses? And it says, the response chatter, this is what Q response, chatter amongst those in control has begun. They know, we know, which means the public will know. Release prior to cover up. Public informed and collapse. Which option? Right now, we're in the greatest exposure and truth-telling phase of our lifetime. And in fact, the House Judiciary Committee just put this out, I believe today or yesterday, and this is in reference to Google admitting that there was censorship under the Biden administration, and that Google and YouTube promised to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. And wouldn't you know it, this includes political speech violations on topics such as COVID-19 and elections. Google admitted to the House Judiciary Committee that the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. Biden's administration's censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Public debate should never come at the expense of relying, quote unquote, authorities. The company said that they will never use third-party, quote, fact checkers. These are some of the points that they admitted and that they are going to hopefully change. And you guys know, if you followed me, I was censored. I also had videos taken down. And what I want to say to many of you guys out there, and those that are of my audience, you guys are already open-minded and you guys are understanding of trying to discern in the spirit. But the warning I want to give is you will have a choice to really try to genuinely, deeply understand like what is really going on with some of these things. And I'm not here to harp on doctors, medical professionals, and pharmacists and all these people, but because you have this title and you think you're in this industry because you're a pharmacist and you say, you know what, I know because I distribute like drugs. That's what we call as a logical fallacy, an appeal to authority. You are not there for the clinical trials from day to day. You don't know the scientific research that many people have peer reviewed and tested over a long time. You don't understand that there might be changes over the course of however many decades of research. You don't know causation to the T about certain conditions of certain people when you introduce new things, like even the COVID vaccine. Now that a lot of people have taken it, what is that new variable going to do in combination with some of the other things that we've been accepted as a norm over the last 20, 30 years? These are some of the critical thinking questions that you've got to be able to test and understand. But just because, oh, I'm a doctor and I'm a this and that, you should listen to me and this is how it's been for a long time, doesn't cut it, because things can change and we don't know. And again, I'm not sitting here like I think I know these answers. I want to know the truth. And the highest order I've said before that you need to have is you have to want to know the truth. What is the truth? It doesn't matter if it's coming from somebody, your favorite role model, or from the right or the left. left. The end goal should be, I want to know what the truth is. And so I know things change, it iterates over time, but this is where we need to go. And it requires going back to freedom of speech, going back to what Charlie Kirk fought for. It's discourse, it's being able to debate, it's being able to research, it's being able to hear from different points of views, and to really, more importantly, pray about it and go to the Lord in prayer, in fasting, and humble yourself before Him and say, you know what, I want to know what's best for me. And remember Romans 14. If you haven't read the full book, go look at it. But talking about the weak and the strong, talking about certain choices you make because you want to honor the Lord above all things. And however the Lord is leading you, that's great. But there are certain things, it may be negotiable. But other things, if you have facts, if you have certain things, God will give you grace over certain choices. But if you know something from right versus wrong, helpful versus not helpful, and if God has opened that knowledge to you, it might be harder for you to make a choice. Claiming ignorance and saying you can get by with it is not going to be enough in the eyes and the judgment of God. So just want to encourage you guys with this and just say, keep praying, keep discerning, keep growing, because a lot of things are shifting right now, and I can feel it, I can sense it, and it all depends on how we respond as a community. Guys, you guys know I am doing a fundraiser. I need your guys' help. We're not quite there yet. All the information is in my link, givesendgo.com/chrisyoonyt. I need the help, guys. You guys, if you guys want to support me to sow a seed financially and also in prayer, I would love it. So help me get to my goal, guys. All the information, again, is down below. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.